bench and the bleachers. As always, I'm your host, Keanen and Tregaskis, joined by my co-host, Alex Tanaka. And today we have a special guest, my brother, Desmond Tregaskis. We got him on here as he has just committed to Sacramento State down in the USA, a Division One school. We're going to talk about that for a little while. Then we'll get into our regular show. Right off the top, Des, how are you?
I'm good, Keenan. Thank you. I'm good. How are you
That's
doing?
good. Yeah, we're good. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Yeah.
Are you
Been one,
excited
yeah.
to be going down to the States? I think that's more where I was aiming that.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. I'm super excited. It's been a goal of mine for forever. So it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited. Yeah.
That's great. So you've obviously been down there playing tournaments and everything. As a Canadian, what is it like going down to the States to play against American teams, against other Americans?
Um, well, it's just the way they play and kind of the skill level is different down there. That every time we go down there, we're always the underdog, and it seems like the best player on your team is kind of just like the average guy on every other team there. And so, yeah, it's challenging, kind of playing against those top teams down there.
Has that helped, like going down there, being the underdog, pushing yourself a little more competition?
Yeah, definitely. That it kind of it shows you kind of what it needs to take to kind of make it to the next level and to, you know, make it where you want to be.
So, what is the process of talking to D1 schools as a Canadian?
Okay, yeah. So they reach out to you. You kind of you find a time to set up a call, and you'll kind of go through kind of what they do at their school and kind of what it looks like to play for their team. This is when you get to ask questions, kind of like what you've been wondering about the program, or if you've done a little research and you can't figure something out, you ask those questions. Um, yeah, you do a couple calls. You stay in touch. They kind of follow along with your progress and how you've been doing. Um, if they really like you, they'll invite you on an official visit, which is you go down there, you get like a tour of the campus. Um, you might be able to see a practice or two. Um, yeah, and usually if you go on an official visit, they're most likely going to offer you because the official visits they're all paid for. That they pay for your flights, your hotel, all your food, all the stuff like that. Um, yeah, that's how I've uh, that's my recruiting process or how it's been for me.
And what was that like at the beginning? Like when they first reached out to you? Were you nervous? What were you feeling?
I was nervous, but I was pretty excited that I was in contact with the Division One school. But going on the calls with all the coaches, it can get pretty nerve wracking. It's pretty scary. But yeah, the more calls I went on, I got more comfortable. So yeah, I was pretty excited to be talking with Division One coaches at Division One school.
Yeah, and obviously you went down to Sacramento State. What was your personal experience on campus, like with all the baseball people down there?
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, that they've got a great environment at the school. Um, yeah, very very nice campus. But a thing I really love about the team is they're all really connected. That they all have a good bond together. They kind of remind me of the Blue Jays and how it's kind of just everyone's best friend. And that was really good to see with my decision making because I don't want to go somewhere where I'm kind of gonna be an outcast and it's gonna be hard to make friends. And all these guys that I met with the team, they're all super inviting. They're all trying to make me feel welcome and make me feel like I'm part of the team, which was really nice. Um, yeah, all the coaches super nice, um, just making me feel at home basically.
So you met with the coach before you went down to your official visit. What was meeting with him beforehand like?
Um, like what do you mean? Like,
Like when you met with him in Arizona when he saw you pitch down there.
okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was actually a funny coincidence. He was down there to see um, like a junior college event, but that ended up getting canceled. So he came to the field where I was playing because there was a bunch of games going on there. Luckily, I was playing that day. I got to pitch and I did really well. And he texted me after the game. He's like, "Hey, I got to see you today. Let's go out for dinner." Uh, and so we went out for dinner. We kind of just talked about getting me down on a visit, kind of what the next steps were going to be. Um, yeah, that was about it. But it was cool to be able to meet with a coach face to face because I'd only been texting with him and talking with him over the phone. So it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Alex, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I have a couple questions too. Like you were just talking about the Sacramento State coaches. What do you think it is about the way that you pitched that really impressed him? Like I know you said you were just talking about how he saw you pitch that day. Like, do you remember anything that like what was your breaking stuff working really well? Was your fastball working well? Like, what do you think they see in you a lot to make you to offer you this deal?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one was my extension down the mound, which is kind of how far I get down the mound and where my release point is. And so the longest I got to was 7'2", which is right by Tyler Glasnow, and the average in the MLB is about 6'5", and so he was really impressed about that one, and their head coach even thought that the TrackMan, which is what we use the data for, was broken because you don't see numbers like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the second one would be kind of the ride on my fastball, that I had 19 and a half inches of vertical break on my fastball, which it makes it look like it's rising out of your hand. And yeah, those are the two main things that he was really surprised and impressed by when he got to see me pitch.
Yeah. Are those parts of your game that you really like place emphasis on in the off season when you're training?
Yeah, well, I'm always working to throw harder, and typically, like, the harder and harder you throw, the more spin rate you get, which gets you that more vertical break on the fastball, as well as the break on the off speeds. And so it's kind of just training for velocity and maintaining the feel of the off speeds is really important. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I train. It's just maintain the feel for the off speeds and continue to build that velocity.
Yeah. I know you and Keenan talked a lot about, like you playing a lot of tournaments down in the States because that's where like a lot of the scouts are and that's where a lot of the competition is. And you said when you go down there, you're almost always like an underdog. How do you feel that you're perceived from the American teams that you play, from the American schools that are scouting you? Do you feel like you maybe have a bit of a chip on your shoulder because maybe they think that you guys aren't as good as them when you go down there?
Yeah, um, yeah, it's always cool to be an underdog because up in Canada we play with the same guys all year long, and we always have that better bond, and that we always play with each other. Whereas these guys, there's just a summer ball travel team, and so it's being able to string those hits together because you're used to hitting with these guys, and it shocks these American teams that, we're getting all these hits off the velocity. And yeah, it's really cool to kind of go down there and show how Canadians play baseball.
Yeah. All right, I only have a few more questions left, so don't worry. This one's kind of a two-parter. It's which pitcher do you see yourself the most like when you watch games? Like, who do you watch on TV and think that's who reminds me of me a lot? And then also, who's your favorite pitcher you've kind of modeled your game after?
Okay, it's a tricky one. I
Yeah.
haven't really compared myself to many pitchers. Possibly Brian Wu. That
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
he's a guy that commands the zone really well. In his delivery, it looks all pretty effortless, and people tell me that my fastball looks easy out of the hand, and so that's kind of one thing I compare with Brian Wu. He also has some pretty good off speeds, right? My off speeds are quite good as well, so I think Brian Wu is a pretty good comparison. Um, and a pitcher I've grown up watching. Man, I love watching Paul Skeens. But that's a pretty boring answer though.
It's boring
Um,
because it's the right answer almost. Like he's the best in the league right now.
He's the best.
There's no
Yeah.
shame in picking that, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stick with Paul Skeens.
All right.
I got one more. I'm not sure about Keenan, but it's what are you looking forward to the most about playing Division One baseball in your first year getting down there? Like, what part of the D1 experience are you looking forward to the most?
Um, Traveling around. It's gonna be cool to play against all those guys you see online. It's like you see all these clips of these Division One baseball players, and it's pretty crazy to think that I'm going to be playing against them or I'm going to be pitching against them. Um, but it's pretty cool just being able to play against that really high caliber level of players that I've kind of always looked up to as well. Um, yeah, that's the main thing I'm kind of looking forward to.
What kind of expectations do you have for yourself? Your first year down in D1.
Yeah, well, I'm looking to be. I want to play right away. That's my expectation for myself. Whether it's a bullpen guy or the Tuesday starter, that I want to go out there and I want to prove myself right away. That I want to show the coaches that I deserve a starting spot right away.
Great. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're gonna keep your MLB opinions to yourself for now?
Yeah, I don't want to cause any controversy over here.
Very professional
Yeah.
already.
We're not used to professional answers on this show, so it's appreciated.
It's a fresh breath
Yeah.
over here. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Desmond. That was a great interview. That was great. We're gonna watch you grow. We're gonna love to watch what you do down in D1 and hopefully beyond. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
All right, we're back with our regular show now. Once again, thanks to Desmond for joining us. We look forward to seeing his career as a D1 athlete grow and even beyond then, like I said, when he was still here. But now to the baseball news, the MLB news, the amazing MLB offseason that we go through every year. Ryan Housley, 3 years to the Orioles. The reliever market's been moving a little bit.
It's been moving more than the starter market has, but I guess there's more
It
high
has.
name. But there's more high name relievers, like high leverage guys, bigger names out there.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Is this an indication to you that the Orioles want to compete this coming season, signing Helsley?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Their general manager actually came out with a plan that he so far has stuck to, unlike whatever the last offseason was. One, get an impact bat, Taylor Ward, very consistent, very underrated. get a closer, Ryan Helsley. They probably could have gotten a better closer. And 3, get a tough frontline starter. They haven't done that yet, but 2 of 3 is great, is proper steps forward. It shows that they're planning things, shows that they're sticking to the plan, shows that he wants to compete, he wants to build right now as they should with this young core. I'm not the biggest Helsley guy, but I like that they're out there making moves.
Helsley's, he was third on the list of the relievers who I wanted the Jays to sign. I'm not a bit. He's to me like he's a closer who gets a lot of saves, but I'm not sure if you really trust him. Like
Yeah, like mid 3, but he on a good team he's a 40 save guy.
yeah, and like and the Cardinals would just work him to death and get him all the save opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
and you talk about the Orioles needing a frontline starter. Their catcher situation is murky at best, so you can easily move Adley Rutschman for a Joe Ryan or someone else for a team to build their franchise around. So if you want to get a
Yeah.
frontline starter, Rutschman's trade value is not going to get higher if he just spends another year like he did last year behind I always every week Keenan asks you what's this Orioles
Basayo.
catch?
Samuel
Huh?
Basayo.
Pasayo? Yeah, you should move on from him this offseason if you're going to move on from him in the next couple of seasons. So go and get a Joe Ryan, an Alcantara, someone like that, if that's what your intention is to move on from Rutschman, or if you want to convert him somewhere else. The whole way that's been handled has been very off to me. So I think some credit with that would be really good for the Orioles. But hell's that I don't mind it. It's not a bad signing, but
Mhm.
it's not Edwin Diaz.
No. One other thing here with the Orioles, I'm not as keen on them making a trade for a Joe Ryan guy because it's the last year of his deal.
On the
Because
premise
this is
that you'd have the extension worked out before you make the trade.
Yeah, and
Right?
that's
Like
my concern with them because they failed to do that with Corbin Burns. Obviously now Tommy John's a little different. You look at it a little differently,
yeah.
but a frontline starter is not going to be a 1 year thing like
No,
it
it
was with
can't be.
Corbin
If you're
Burns.
trading on the
No,
Rutschman, it had better be for someone who you're going to either add term to immediately upon their arrival, or someone who has term or team control left on their contract.
exactly. Yeah.
No, there we are.
Yeah,
Blind.
yeah, there we go. We got that one down. The other reliever moved, signing Devin Williams. He's also going from the Bronx to Queens, although he didn't play with Juan Soto.
Yeah. No. Yankee fans, pick a lane and stay in it. Either you guys
Yeah.
don't think Devin Williams is that guy, or you secretly do and think he was going to have a bounce back season, in which case you are upset about him signing with the Mets. You cannot lambast a guy all season, talk shit about him on Twitter, then call him a traitor when he leaves. That's really not how this works, guys. Like, I'm sorry, you cancel him, I don't care, but like that's bullshit. The way that he was treated by the Yankee fans, and maybe they shouldn't have waived the facial hair policy for a guy who never played a game there. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, this obviously means the Mets have their closer now. I'm assuming he's being brought in for high leverage with I believe he's making $17 million a season. So I
Yeah.
think he's at worst on that team. They're high leverage setup guy for someone they want to bring in. But I think it's a good move for the Mets. I mean, just keep rating the Yankee snack drawer and see where that gets you.
Yeah, and it worked
One
really well
losing
for Soto
franchise
on,
rating and others. Am I right, guys? Am I right, Chad?
yeah, on a down year for Soto. He was the third in MVP voting.
Yeah, like
His individual performance was good. The team just failed.
yeah, Keenan, but it's not fun when I don't get to make fun of Juan Soto. Don't you're
Trust me, you know I'm a Braves fan. I'd love to sit here and make fun of Juan Soto.
It's the Mets are just too easy. Yeah, that's fair. And the Pete Alonso thing too. I want to talk about because I haven't heard a single thing about Pete Alonso this offseason. Not a
Yeah,
rumor. I heard a lot about Naylor before Naylor was locked up. We're hearing a lot about Schwarber. We should also be hearing a lot about Pete Alonso, you would think. But I haven't heard anything. I'm hearing he may have to sacrifice some term. When Pete Alonso's never really had like a down year or a bad year, he's just come up
mhm.
and hit every single season.
Yeah, look, I just said I'm a Braves fan. I'd love to bash on the Mets and their players, but Pete Alonso has done nothing but perform in Queens. He's done nothing but show up and be consistent. He's hit home runs for them, a lot of home runs for them, and people are acting like he's about to
Big
fall
home
off a cliff.
runs.
It's yeah, that one against Milwaukee last year
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Like to get you to the CS. Like, are you like? I think he might be kicking himself now about turning down that 7-year contract.
Yeah, he could be. But what I don't understand is teams acting like this guy is one game away from falling off a cliff.
I can take a guess. Do you know who his agent is?
Boris.
Scott Boras, teams are getting sick of dealing with his shit. Like teams don't want to deal with this guy at all. They don't want to do the dance with him where he comes in at an absurdly high number and then says, "Wow, like the team got a great deal by signing him for like this cheap because we asked for this much." Um, Especially now, if the Mets sign Bellinger, I don't know really where this guy's going to go because the Mets won't be able to pay him then. I'm kind of thinking it's just whoever doesn't get Schwarber is going to try and sign Alonso, but that's not where you want to be when you're
That's
like,
gonna be one of the middling Central team markets.
yeah, I mean, and the Reds would make sense.
Yeah, if they don't land Schwarber, the
They,
Schwarber race is a weird one now too.
yeah, but I feel like he probably wants it that way. Like I can't imagine that any team would make a serious offer if he wasn't interested, right? But
Yeah.
the Alonso stuff to me is just so weird because I don't feel like they're that different a player. And
No, I think Kyle Schwarber just hits more home runs. Maybe that's because he's a designated hitter. Like if you move Pete Alonso to DH, maybe he's a 50 home run guy again.
yeah, and whoever will sign him will probably have to weigh that, right? But
Yeah.
I was just surprised that we've gotten into December and there haven't really been any heavy links with him to any other franchise. So that was
It's not even that for me. It's the links being I don't trust him long term, which is such a weird one.
especially when I mean, the one thing to consider though is you look at a lot of first basemen recently who have signed big contracts after 30. You think of Fielder, you think of Chris Davis, you think of Miggy, you think of all those other guys who have signed a big ticket and just kind of plummeted at first base. So
Mhm.
I can understand the hesitancy, but those guys, I mean, aside from Miggy, a couple of those there were some inconsistencies there too. So I just think you should take everything case by case. And Pete Alonso's done nothing but rip the cover off baseball since coming up to the Mets. So I really, I mean, if I was a team who needed a power bat, I would really be going after Alonso because you can probably get him on the cheap right now. Because the race
Yeah.
is going to intensify once Schwarber goes.
Yeah,
Like,
that'll set the
if
first
you're the
base
Pirates,
market.
offer him 3 years, 75 million. He'll probably say yes.
Yeah, speaking of the Pirates, they've reportedly offered from Ken Rosenthal, a trusted source, 4 years at least $100 million, which is what you would consider the market value in a 4 year term for Kyle Schwarber. But
Yeah.
this isn't a
Yeah.
competitive team offering him that deal.
No, they're going to need to pay the Pittsburgh tax.
This is what happens when you don't pay anyone for as
Oh.
long as you've been in charge there, Bob Nutting.
It's like putting off getting work done on your car, right? You can go
Yeah,
and get it done quickly, or you can wait longer and longer, but there's going to be more and more damage, and it's just going to compound more and more and more. So now you're in a situation where you want to bring in competitive baseball players to make your team competitive, but you've shown a history over the past 10 years of not wanting to do that. So you're going to need to overpay to get these guys and pay way above market value. If you want Kyle Schwarber on your team for 4 years, be prepared to buck up $125 million minimum, maybe up to 150. I wouldn't pay him more than that for any team. I don't care.
yeah.
But you're going to need to just accept that this is the way things are going to be until you can show the rest of the league and every player in the league that you're serious about winning.
Yeah, even with their lack of spending, I think it's more down to 2024 being such a bad year too. Like if they had the same offseason they had last year, but there was a little bit of progression from some of their younger hitters, and let's say that they were closer to 500, maybe a couple, like they 75, 77 wins. This is a different conversation.
Yeah, if Jared Jones is healthy, maybe this is a different conversation.
It could be, but he doesn't hit though. That's the problem. The
Well,
pitching
yeah, but
wasn't the
no one hits in
problem,
Pittsburgh. All the kids there suck, and they traded Brian Hayes, who was their only good defensive player.
and he sucked at the plate. It's just
What are
it
we
is
doing,
one of
Keaton?
like you've done this to yourself there, Bob Nutting. Like
How are we going
I
to
don't know
fix this team?
how much further we need to beat this horse into the ground, but we know what the problem
I
is.
would actually like to see them sign both Phillies players. Go after Real Muto, go after Schwarber. Get both of those
There you
guys.
go. That's a little too much for him, but
That
it's
solves
optimistic.
a lot of issues. It brings in a veteran catcher to handle your young staff and an
It
impact
does,
bat Schwarber.
100%.
You could honestly come third in the division next year, maybe even second, with the way the Central operates.
Yeah. Jeff Kent, he's in the Hall of Fame.
What
What
did
do
you
you
just
think
call
about
me?
that? Hey?
Made a joke,
Oh,
didn't land.
yeah, I got it.
You like that one. Yeah, Jeff Kent. Why is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't get it. Like, I understand how the Veterans Committee works and everything. And like, he got I think 12 out of 15 ballots, but he's not one of the three best players who was on this ballot. Like, Keenan, do you think he's better than Carlos Delgado? Because I do not.
No.
I don't think he's better than Don Mattingly. I don't think he is, and I don't think he's better than Dale Murphy. So how does he get like I think it was over 80% of this what is it, Veterans Committee ballot or whatever the hell it is, woke
It was
nonsense.
12 of 15. They needed 12.
Garbage,
Yeah.
garbage that he's in there because it is ironic. The guy who people walked Barry Bonds to face got in the Hall of Fame before Barry Bonds did.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny because everybody was comfortable pitching to him with a guy on base. But he's not a better hitter than Carlos Delgado is, or Don Mattingly, or Dale Murphy. I, I just don't get this. The only thing is that because he plays second base and he hits well. Ugh. Well, let me tell you something. I don't care. I'm not a big positional value guy when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Like I don't you can't say that a guy hitting 290 at second or a guy, whose OPS plus is 110 is more valuable than a guy hitting, with a 130 OPS plus at first base. I don't care what any number says. That's not true. Okay? And yeah, he won an MVP, probably didn't deserve it. No, he's not a Hall of Fame player. Nothing about Jeff Kent is the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and
And
usually,
you can't even look at Boomer RBI numbers because
no,
Barry Bonds goes on first base.
yeah, usually we when we talk about the MLB Hall of Fame, they usually make mistakes by not letting people in, not by letting in the wrong person.
This is
Like
what you
that's
call
normally the year of
overcorrection.
this goal.
This is an
Yeah,
overcorrection, guys. Like this guy sucks. Like I was iffy on Scott Rowland getting in, but like yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Fuck, I would rather neither of them be in than Rowland and Kent be in. Like this is a joke.
yeah,
Pretty soon it's gonna be the Basketball Hall of Fame where everybody gets in.
yeah. A little bit of trade news here too. Moving on from Jeff Kent, Harry Ford. We talk about him at least once a month. He's been traded to the Washington Nationals. I thought Seattle could have gotten a little more. They got a reliever in return, decent, like average numbers, but some of his peripherals say he could be better. I just felt like a young catcher who's regarded as a very good prospect with a lot of term would have been a trade piece in a bigger trade.
No, I really like this move from the Nationals, especially
Yeah,
because
I like it from the national side.
yeah, especially because Olney said that they're going to be moving on from Gore in the next couple of days, and he said that 2 days ago. So take that for what it's worth. But it's almost worth it to just fully commit to sucking for the next 3 seasons and just giving Ford and some other guys 1,000 more at bats to see where they're at. But I really like this move for Washington because their rebuild has not been successful. It's actually been incredibly unsuccessful in the wake of the Juan Soto trade a couple of years ago. So they need to go outside of the organization to acquire top end prospects, and they have. And maybe it's time to move on from a Mackenzie Gore to bring in more prospects. It's a necessary shakeup to the way that they've been rebuilding, and I like that they've been able to identify that and taken steps to fix it.
Yeah, no, and I agree that bringing in Harry Ford, any prospect of that reputation is a good idea for the Nationals where they are. I just don't know how much I trust their development right now. I don't know how much like
Yeah,
they
it's
keep
it's
struggling.
hard because they haven't really like James Wood. I don't know how much credit they can take for him being that strong, right?
Yeah,
Like Abrams, yeah, but it's because he got a lot of at bats. Their other development though has not been good because they have not been able to draft anybody. Well, the thing you got to remember too is they got Wood and Abrams and Gore in the Juan Soto trade, right? So
yeah.
a lot of these
Some
guys they're bringing,
Padres prospects. Yeah.
yeah, they aren't even their own prospects. So like what are we doing? And it's tough to blame the major league staff because they get these guys when they've had 1,000 at bats in the minors, so maybe they have to unlearn a bunch of shit they learned down there, right? So it's hard to to point the blame at one person, but it's clear they need an organizational overhaul as to how they develop prospects who they draft. That much is very obvious because they probably had a lot of talented players walk through those doors. None of them have made an impact at the major leagues.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think the one pro within this Harry Ford trade is they aren't going to be developing him at the minor league level. He's MLB
No, he gets
ready.
to play Major League. I'm assuming he gets to play Major League Ball next year.
He spent the last month in the major leagues with Seattle. I
Yeah, so
assume
he
they
better be
bring him
playing
over
Major League
to.
Ball in Washington, but you never
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Kid's had a weird
They
career.
need major league players.
Yeah, no. Do we want to
Yeah,
go through the positives and negatives now?
we can do the pros and cons. Yeah, you want to take the first one there?
Keenan, I would be honored to. So last week on the show, we did our pros and cons of the previous season for each team. So typically what I found is the pro is looking back at how the season was. The con is probably about like more looking to the future for a lot of these. So my pro for the Cleveland Guardians is Stephen Vogt did it again. He managed your team to the playoffs with a way worse roster than he had the year before, and he's shown he can absolutely squeeze the last piece of juice out of an orange, right? Right, like not a piece of juice, but the last ounce of juice and offensive talent out of anybody on the field. He can manage a bullpen. They had a historic charge to win the division, so props to Stephen Vogt and that whole team coming in clutch in the second half of the season. The con is there's nothing to look forward to because that is your absolute ceiling. With the amount of offensive talent you have, it's one thing to hit your ceiling, but when your ceiling isn't even the CS, it's a bit depressing to look forward to, right? So it's a bit of a double negative that, the pro is you hit your ceiling, the con is your ceiling's really fucking low.
Yeah. Yeah, my pro is also Stephen Vogt, one of the best, obviously the best manager in the league. Our central things here, little spoiler, a lot of them are very similar. That's just how the central teams were this year. But yeah, Stephen Vogt, like you said, obviously the best manager. He can do everything with nothing.
Yeah, he gets so much out of those guys every year.
Yeah, the only problem is at the end of the day, talent does need to show up, and there is no offensive talent outside of Jose Ramirez.
It's not that the offensive talent isn't showing up, it's that there's no one to show up.
Yeah.
There's no one who can do, there's no one to show up. That's the issue.
There's no one who can hit outside of Jose Ramirez.
And he's pissed off,
and that's
too.
going to be a problem unless they bring talent in.
Yeah. Fat chance.
Yeah.
Fat fucking chance.
Yeah. As simple as that. The Tigers. Look, they have Tarek Skubal. That is a pro in itself. He was a huge piece to that team. Outside of the generational collapse, I think he's the only one that didn't really fall apart. The con is the depth was obviously very much exposed down the stretch.
What depth? Am I right?
Yeah, what depth? That's a central team thing.
Yeah, so my pro is that they still were able to make the playoffs despite this historic collapse because it looked like they may not down the line there, and that they competed when they were in the playoffs. Like it would have been very easy for them to roll over against other teams, and they fought hard against Seattle, who fought hard against Toronto, right? So they still managed to compete despite how poorly they played down the stretch. So I thought they played very professionally. The con of the season is the collapse. Like that is something that winning teams and organizations don't allow to happen. So despite all the progress that AJ Hinch has made, there's still a lot more work to do.
Yeah, the collapse shouldn't happen. And going forward, they need to fix that, obviously.
Oh.
Kansas City, Bobby Witt is elite. And it's clear at this point. If it wasn't clear after his MVP runner-up season, which in most other years would have been an MVP year, then it is now, because he's the reason they were competitive offensively, competent at points offensively. The con is there is nothing else offensively. Michael Garcia broke out a little bit. Pasquantino still hits at least 20 home runs a year, but it's not enough.
Pasquantino's entertaining, at least, though, on Twitter. Great follow.
Yeah, he's a good follow.
Yeah.
But
my pro is Bobby Witt is one of Major League Baseball's 10 best players, maybe 5 best players. The con is everyone else on the team sucks.
Yeah.
It's simple, guys, and I'm sorry, but no one else is good on Kansas City.
Rotation is decent.
They weren't as good as they were last season, though, and the bullpen wasn't.
That's also true. There were little injuries, but yeah, not
No
good enough to
excuses.
help. Not good enough to help them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
The Twins. I'll take this one.
You got it.
Pros. I wrote nothing. Con, historically bad ownership.
Yeah, they
They
really
didn't-
was.
In their big fire sale. They didn't trade their most valuable asset. I don't understand
Their
why.
ownership.
Their owner. Well,
Yeah.
no. This is being decided by ownership. Don't
I know,
bail these
yeah.
guys out. This is coming from the top here, and when you make all these preparations to unload all these guys to make the team financially much more viable to sell, and you don't sell it, and then you're stuck there like shit. If we were doing a fire sale, we should have sold Joe Ryan. All of that comes from the dysfunction upstairs. So this is all a function of bad ownership.
Yeah, I gave them a pro. Is just Byron Buxton was healthy, won himself a Silver
That's so
Slugger
cruel,
award.
though, for him to finally be healthy. That's so rude for you to mention that.
It is bittersweet, and for them, I mean, he didn't want to get traded, but he might want to now because it's going to be an awful year for them in 2026.
I would love to polygraph him and ask him, "Do you want to play for Minnesota this coming season?" The answer's gonna be fuck no.
Yeah, he better say no. My con is ownership is still in charge. They didn't sell the team. That was the
Yeah.
whole point. That was the
The
whole
goal of
point
the
of the
fire
fire
sale is to get
sale.
all this bad money off the books. They're so deep in debt, that organization, and they did that, and they didn't sell the team.
Yeah, the Twins are going to be a bad team until ownership is gone.
Yeah, so guys, what Keenan's saying is they're going to be bad forever.
They're going to be
Moving
bad
on.
forever.
Yeah, my pro
Yeah.
for the White Sox is a young man by the name of Colson Montgomery, and he's a very good player. He's kind of Bobby Witt light, only in the fact they're both central shortstops and both good at baseball. It's pretty much where the similarities actually end. Um, what else are for Con? Everybody else sucks. There's not a lot of talent on that team. Young, old, big, small. Everybody else who's not named Colson Montgomery kind of sucks. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds reductive, but it's true.
It is true, and we got the exact same thing here. Colson Montgomery is my pro for the White Sox because he's the only pro.
Yeah.
There wasn't any other progression from their young players. Montgomery came up a lot of power, a lot of home runs, but nobody else did anything that made you look, oh hey, this is a piece for the future.
No, there's nothing there.
No. NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers, Moneyball worked in the regular season. You got contributions from everyone and anyone, rotation, bullpen, offense, bench. Everybody contributed. But come playoffs, they could not keep up with the real talented teams, like the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Mets the year before that, the Phillies before that. They couldn't keep up with those teams who have lots of talent and actual money.
Yeah, and not to get sidetracked a bit, but they played very similar to the Blue Jays, in which they relied on a lot of contributions up and down the lineup. The key differences with the Jays is they had stars, and
Yes.
you need stars to win championships in sports, right? You need guys who can go out there and overperform and be the best player in a game. Milwaukee never really had that. They never really had that guy against the Dodgers, and you need star power. You need a team that can contribute up and down the lineup, and guys from the bench and guys from the bullpen. But you need stars. Jackson Churio is good, but he's not a superstar. He's not a player who can take over a playoff series in the way that you saw Guerrero take over a series, right? In the way you saw Ohtani take over a series. Aaron Judge hit very well this season too in the playoffs finally, and it's unfair to lump him in there. But it's all well and good to get contributions up and down the lineup, but you need a guy to rely on. And everybody, because when the bats are running cold, you need a rally starter. They didn't have that. All of this being said, they exceeded all their expectations,
They
right?
did.
Nobody thought that they would have that record. Nobody thought they would win the division, right? So they deserve a lot of props. But despite all this, it's still the same postseason result from them, right? Like despite like I just said, everybody hitting, Jackson sure looking pretty good, right? The rotation way better than it was last season, right? Like I think the year before they had was 30 guys start a game,
Yeah,
right?
the rotation was a problem last year.
Yeah, right. The problem is now is everything went very 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 well, and they still got their asses handed to them in the playoffs. It was belt to ass from the Dodgers. So you need to look internally and think, okay, if this is what our team performing at its best looks like, then we need to change everything, right? Because this is not where you want to be as an organization. So yes, you exceeded all expectations, but the drawback is it still landed you in the same result as to when you were not performing up to expectations, right? So how can you change that? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's up to ownership. It's going to be coming down. It's going to come down to will they spend money, and they haven't.
Ding ding ding! I don't think they
Ding
will.
ding ding. Yeah,
Uh,
the Cubs. The young pieces looked really good. PCA obviously talked about the most. Kate Horton, Matt Shaw showed signs down the stretch, but the con is there was no ace at the front of that rotation. Imanaga had his problems down the stretch. Cade Horton was injured in September and was a rookie. That shouldn't be your ace unless he's Paul Skeens. Maybe Cade Horton's that guy going forward, but they didn't have an ace to lead them at the front of the rotation.
Yeah, I had PCA and the kids are all right. Pretty much like Pete Armstrong was maybe the best player in the league the first 2 months of the season. He was playing incredibly. He was hitting very well. You talked about Cade Horton. I think he is the ace. Like
Okay.
I think that he was a revelation for them. You mentioned Shaw too, but the pitching just couldn't pick up the offense when Tucker wasn't hitting and Pete wasn't hitting, and they were sputtering offensively. The pitching wasn't able to rise to the occasion to help bail out the offense. That's not only not having an ace, but also depth pieces not contributing as well. The bullpen not pitching well. A lot of things could have gone better for them pitching because when you're a playoff team and you're expected to win the division, you need your pitching to pick up your offense and vice versa, the offense to pick up the pitching. The pitching could not pick up the offense.
Yeah, and maybe that'll be addressed. Bob Nightingale thought it would be addressed.
Fucking moron.
Cincinnati. The young rotation was very strong when they were healthy. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo at the front there. They still got some great prospects down there too. Chase Burns showed some great stuff when he was up in the major leagues for a short stint. The young offense kind of sputtered. Ellie De La Cruz wasn't what he was the past couple of years when people thought he was going to break out this year. Matt McClain, nothing. I don't think anyone else really stood out offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun ball and good pitchers, right? Like
Yeah.
that was kind of like what I felt for their pro. Like the rotation was entertaining to watch, right? Like they're a high strikeout team, but my con is the lack of veterans leads to volatile results, right? They don't have a steady presence because it's one thing to look at year over year numbers, right, and say, okay, somebody hit 250, but that doesn't mean they hit 250 every single month, right?
Yeah.
The offense was just too streaky. They lost way too many close games. Their run differential was vastly helped by them winning a lot of blowout games, but there would be too many games they would lose 3-2, 5-4, and they just couldn't. They didn't have that one hitter to rely on. Ellie De La Cruz is almost there, but he's dealing with his own shit too, right? So they just need like a calming impact bat, a veteran who's been around the block. His name begins with the letter K. They should sign him. I'm going to leave it at that.
They should sign him. I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
St. Louis. I got no pro for them. I don't really know what stood out. I don't.
Bit harsh.
I could say the same about your Twins thing there.
Fair enough. Fair.
We,
Touche.
we got our one team where there really wasn't a pro. I don't know what they did well. They're stuck in no man's land. This was kind of the year we thought, oh, this is going to be a bad Guardians team. They're going to be like bottom 5, bottom 10. They won mid-70s games. They flirted with 500. They were outside of the wild card race for a little while. Didn't really make a push because there wasn't anything good going on.
Yeah, well, I had them down as guards ball light because I remember in I think up to like June I was crashing out whenever we'd look at the divisions because I'm like, how the fuck are the Cardinals near
Yeah,
500?
they're supposed to be bad.
No, and they would win. They would actually win some games. My con is just that the team has no direction. Like
Yeah.
they don't know if they're up, if they're down, hot, cold, yes, no, in, out. They don't know any of that, right? They need to pick a direction, and it's either we're going to become a bad version of the San Francisco Giants and just have a bunch of old guys and try and make a run at the third wild card spot, or blow it up, rebuild, take a 5-year break, right? Because I know that the organization may not want to do that considering how consistent they've been for the past century, but it's kind of where they need to be right now because there's not a lot coming up. Like I was a bit disappointed by Mason Wynn this year. There's just not a whole lot to look forward to, and there's no direction for the organization.
Yeah, their prospect development has been bad recently too.
Brutal, and you wouldn't expect that from that organization.
No, this is the team that they were the Central's version of the Yankees. They were always good.
They ran the Central since 2000 pretty much, right? Like
Yeah, they Yeah, exactly that. They ran the Central for a long time. Jordan Walker is easily becoming one of the biggest prospect busts. People thought he was going to be the next Albert Pujols.
He's the next like Dodgers Albert Pujols.
They screwed him up though. They messed up his
No, they
development
broke
too.
him. Yeah, and you wouldn't expect this from an organization that's developed so many great players.
And that's kind of where things have gone wrong for the Cardinals. We're getting a little distracted from our pros and cons, but that's where it's gone wrong. They've
Yeah, no,
messed
it's
up their
and,
prospect
and
development.
that's a fair criticism to levy at the organization.
Yeah, we got one more team here though. Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't even need to look at the doc. We've got the same pro. We've got the same con. Paul Skeens is the pro. Bob Nutting is the con.
Yeah, it's so easy to say. Like Paul Skeens is the most must-watch pitcher I can remember, and Bob Nutting is the worst owner since I can remember.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
figure it out,
We
Bob. Figure it out, buddy. You're on borrowed time.
yeah, we over at the bench and the bleachers here have made Bob Nutting the worst owner, worse than the A's owner. We've just decided. He's just
Bob Nutting is in the same tier of humanity as Osama bin Laden.
oh, okay.
I can't stand the guy.
No, I can't stand him either.
He just doesn't show
His
face enough either.
no, he showed face like twice, and they started to sell the team chance. And he's like, all right, I'm
Yeah,
going.
and like you gotta just own that if you're like, come on.
If you're going to the game, you at this point of his ownership career, he knows they hate him. This isn't just a random Tuesday. They're like, yeah, fuck him. No, you know.
And he deserves that. Like, I'm sorry, like this team matters to a lot of people, and you're not treating it like it does. You're treating it
Pittsburgh's a
like
great sports city.
yeah, you're treating it like it's your franchise mode, and you're constantly rebuilding, but you're not actually stockpiling any assets. Then you
Yeah.
get Paul Skeens, you get the guy, and you refuse to put talent around him. It's so frustrating to watch.
It's very frustrating to watch. Maybe Kyle Schwarber will be their one change that they make. Because
I will say positive things about the Pirates if they sign Kyle Schwarber.
they won't do anything else, though. That's it. That's the end.
Hey, doing something's better than doing nothing, okay, Keenan? Come on.
That's true. They got that one. They can have that one thing. We got one more thing in the show here. State of the Jays. Kyle Tucker, seen at Blue Jays facilities in Florida. Are the Blue Jays fans going to start jumping the gun again?
Yes, because they're a lot of Blue Jay fans are Toronto sports fans, so yes, they will be
True.
jumping the gun.
True.
But this isn't a negative. It's not like a nothing burger. It might be close to it, but because he lives in Florida, by the way, so it's pretty close to actually where he lives. Not like he took a trip in. That's probably a good thing. Like I hope they can bring him in, but like I don't know if this is a big indication like Kyle Tucker's like ready to put pen to paper, you know. So
Mhm. Yeah, there really haven't been any hard rumors. Maybe something will come up during winter meetings the next couple of days. But the
yeah,
other positive here, if you want to cling to some hope as a Blue Jay fan, he hasn't been, there's no rumor, there's no confirmation that he was at any other team's camp.
yeah. So again, it's not bad news, but it's not like great jump over the moon news. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's not like, all right, he's here.
Yeah.
Yariel Rodriguez waived but not claimed as well. This one kind of came out of left field.
Very surprising to me.
Yeah, he had a decent season
He
as a
was,
middle reliever.
yeah, he was an all
I
right
was
guy.
fine with those
He can give
numbers.
you 2 or 3 innings out of the pen, maybe 4 or 5 in a spot start, right? So he's definitely a useful guy.
Yeah,
Um,
he will be back fighting for a roster spot in spring training. I was just surprised that they went to this route.
I was
Especially,
also surprised, Kaden, because I feel like he could contribute to
I
his
also
next year.
I still thought they had a couple spots on the 40 man.
I see. I thought that as well. Maybe not though. I'm not too sure, but I mean, I hope he wins a spot out of camp because I think he's a good pitcher.
Yeah, they're paying him good money too.
No, he
This
signed
isn't
like a
like
pretty good contract after his WBC, so
yeah that maybe that's the only thing
he's
that
earning.
he underperformed his contract, but
He's a major league quality pitcher. He
he
can
was a
pitch
major
Major League
league quality
Baseball.
pitcher.
Yeah, like he
There's a
doesn't
reason
look out
why
of
he
place
still
on the
got
mound
innings. He
there.
was still
So
solid.
yeah. The last thing I had is there's a lot of rumors now about Ketel Marte.
Yeah,
Boston's in on him. Toronto's in on him. And if I'm Toronto, I could probably see them giving up to Mala and Barger, maybe like a Joey King too to get him. And I know all the Jays fans, you can't trade Addison Barger. He's untouchable. No, he's not. For Ketel Marte, he's very touchable.
yeah.
Phrasing.
Yeah,
But yeah, but phrasing on my end there.
phrasing.
But
Yeah,
you can easily move on from Addison Barger. Like, and look, guys, I know it's easy to fall in love with your star players, but if everything goes right for Addison Barger, he will kind of become kind of close to Ketel Marte right now. Right? Like Ketel Marte is the best second baseman in baseball, in my opinion.
yeah.
Right? Probably no one will have him lower than the third best second baseman in baseball.
No,
Right? And then you just kick Jimenez over to shortstop. Bob's your uncle, right?
yeah.
So I
And you're
have no
saving money.
problem moving on from Arjun Namala or JoJo Parker. Maybe not both, but I would say an overpay would be Namala, Parker, Barger, and someone else, right? Like Joey King too. But other than that, go and get Ketel Marte. You want to win? You want to send a statement to the American League? You acquire Dylan Cease and Ketel Marte. That is
Yeah.
you've thrown down the gauntlet at that point.
I've seen Brios's name thrown out there in some mocks.
Honestly, Keanen, I don't know if Arizona wants Jose Barrios. I
Yeah,
don't know. If they
Arizona,
want-
they're not in a full rebuild.
Yeah, like and I like their rotation sucks, but so does Jose Barrios. So
Yeah, they're going to want young, MLB ready players or players that will be there in a year or two, like you said, Namala and Parker. There's still
I'm not
prospects that need
Parker's
some development.
multiple years away. Parker's multiple.
Yeah,
multiple
Parker's
years away.
3 years, two if he's an angel, three in a competent organization.
Yeah, Namala's probably one if he's in it. Namala would be starting next year if he was an Angel. He's probably a year and a half or
Yeah.
2 years away from the Jays.
Yeah, he should be starting in Double A to begin the year. Double A is kind of where prospects either keep their pace or shoot right up the
Yeah.
rankings and end
It's
up in the
feast or
major
famine
leagues
at
in 2
Double A.
months.
Double A's really become the proving ground.
It really
Instead-
has been.
instead of Triple A, right? Double A
Yeah.
is it's the way for the organization to check on how you're developing. Triple A numbers, I find people don't really care about.
There's a lot of old vets in Triple A. I think that's
Yeah.
why.
No, and that's fair. Double A is how is your progress tracking compared to other teams' versions of you, right? That's why organizations love Double A so much.
I think the only negative thing within Ketel Marte trade is you are trading for a guy in a long contract who's at the top of his game right now, which could look bad in a couple of years. None of that matters if you end up winning it all. But that's
the
the
thing, though, is Keenan. Even if they sign Marte and in 5 years he sucks, but if when you go to put gas in your car you're wearing a World Series ring, it doesn't matter, right?
And
So
exactly that.
got to go for it.
That's the
You
only
and
thing
I
you
are
have to
aligned here.
take into consideration is
Yep.
this would be a long contract for a guy who I think would be 38 when it's done.
Yeah, but nothing matters if you win a World Series.
And
None
that's
of that
also
matters.
very true.
Nothing
And that's
matters.
obviously what's on the I almost said Tigers, the Blue Jays.
Freudian slip there from Keenan's actual favorite team, guys.
Yeah, my actual favorite team. Don't look at the flag behind me.
Yeah, no, fuck off. No one look at that.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot to end the episode. You got anything else there?
I have nothing.
I got nothing else either. We will see you guys next week for our West Division recaps and whatever else is in the news. Thanks for joining us.